No question, one of the glamour events of these World Championships will be the men's 400 metres. Three outstanding Americans. Quincy Watts, the Olympic champion, Butch Reynolds, the world record holder, and Michael Johnson, the world champion at 200 metres, the man who hasn't been beaten since 1989 in the 400 metres. Unfortunately for Australia, Darren Clark, our big hope, caught a virus in Europe, had to go home and is missing. Well, Michael Johnson was a big disappointment in Barcelona last year, but he's been in brilliant form all season at 400 metres, and he was first up in the first heat. First heat of the men's 400 metres, Michael Johnson on camera, favourite for the final. He ran the fastest 400 ever in the United States this year at 43.74. Is the world 200 metre champion, one of the big flops in Barcelona last year, but he's come steaming back. Ian Morris is in lane 3 next to him, or in front of him. Golovastov in lane 4 and Ladejo in 8. They're the main ones. Johnson got away very fast. Morris normally slow out, and Johnson's already up alongside of him. Ladejo out in lane 8. First 4 to qualify here, so it really will be a canter for a man of Johnson's pedigree. Ladejo leading from Sistani. I say leading because of the stagger. You can see Johnson with this very upright style, and Morris completely out of the pitch at the moment, remembering that Morris was 4th in the Olympic final last year, and he's a clear last, but he does steam home. Well, Johnson's got Ladejo covered. The time's going to be interesting. He's on the first 300 very conservatively, but he's on for a fairly good time, I feel, unless he switches off completely. Morris is steaming through now in lane 3, and he'll get up and finish second. Johnson practically walking, Morris going through, and with him would have been Tellez, and the time was 45.60. Well, in some quarters, that's pretty respectable. You saw how easy he was. Tellez and Morris getting through to qualify, but 45.60 for Michael Johnson. Second heat of the 400 metres. Only 5 starters here and 4 automatically to go through, but there's a bit of talent, particularly with Hernandez in lane 2 of Cuba. Hasn't been in sparkling form this season, rarely seen in Europe, been prolific in the past, has a tremendous record. Held them a long time, so Hernandez with an outside lane alongside of him, so he's got a bit to run out. He's on the inside. Nuti in lane 4, the Italian, he's very good. Ochieng in 5, we're looking forward to seeing. He's in the middle from Kenya, has been in great form this year. Balasing of Botswana in lane 8 or 7. And Rapinul of France is a 45.5 man out in lane 8. So some quality here. Ochieng's run it very conservatively. Nuti's got up alongside him, and Hernandez has run a very strong first 200. He steamed through and will lead from Rapinul. Now Ochieng and Nuti have got to work home, remembering though the first 4 automatically through. So there's no real problem about qualifying for the quarterfinals. And Rapinul and also Ochieng, there won't be much in it. Rapinul just beating Ochieng, and Hernandez in 45.63, and then Nuti. Well, Hernandez did go out very hard early, and I'm just not sure if he's going as well this year as he has been in the past. Rapinul taking the honours there, a bit slower than Johnson and with a fair bit more effort. Away in the third heat of the 400 metres, and the action here should be down near the inside of the track with Patrick Delise of Trinidad in lane 2, which is the inside runner here, lane 1 vacant, and Sunday Bada of Nigeria in 3, Greg Haughton of Jamaica in lane 5, and Mori of Japan, the former hurdler, is in lane 4. But Bada's been in good form all year. Delise has had one very fast run, but not very many convincing performances, and Haughton's run 45.3. Haughton leading from Bada. Bada, a semi-finalist at the Olympics, World Cup winner last year. He's in the green strip. The Algerian running all right, Boumendel, but now starting to tie up. And you see both Delise and Bada coming through on Haughton. So the 3 favourites are going through. Delise looks to be stretching a bit. Bada impressive. He goes through first from Haughton, Delise, and then Boumendel. So good run for Bada, and Delise didn't look to be very impressive at all. Heat 4, again lane 1 vacant, and in lane 2, the current Olympic champion who made such an impression in Barcelona, Quincy Watts. Lalou of Morocco's outside of him in lane 3, Hassan of Ghana in 4, Escalante of Mexico in 5, and Kemboi of Kenya in lane 8. They're amongst the favourites. Lagore of Sudan out in 7. But Watts, who was overweight earlier this year, made the American team in third place behind Johnson and Reynolds, has been running into very strong form and is considered the big threat to Michael Johnson in the final. Well, he's run the first 300 pretty well and has got them covered. Kemboi of Kenya, semi-finalist at the Olympic Games, extreme left of screen. He's going pretty well. The Kenyans have a strong hand in this event. Not quite as strong as the Americans, however. So Kemboi and Watts both hit it together in about 45.92. So Quincy Watts, no real problems. That's Yetpi of Benin, the only man to run in sunglasses so far today. So he's created some sort of a record. Butch Reynolds back on the international scene. World record holder. No major gold medals to his title. Individually, he has as a relay runner. But was second in Seoul when a hot favourite in 88. Third in Rome in 87. Suspended for 2 years in 1990. And has had a long-standing fight with the International Athletic Federation. Was awarded damages of about $26 million. He's yet to collect. It's a lot of dough, isn't it? Or pulling out Norndorf of Papua New Guinea in lane 3, who's obviously injured himself. So Reynolds going out pretty conservatively. He is the world record holder. He's in lane 4. Ismail in lane 2 of Qatar, the Olympic finalists last year. Adi Maffey going out pretty strongly in lane 7 of Great Britain. And Amagacha of Ghana has been in pretty good form this year in lane 6, and even off of Bulgaria. Reynolds leads. Ishmael's right up with him, though. Ishmael's about half a stride in front of Reynolds. Amagacha and Maffey will all get through. Reynolds goes up almost to Ishmael and now takes him with about 30 metres to run, and Reynolds will go through to win in pretty fast time. Ishmael second, Amagacha third, Maffey. It's the fastest so far, 45.34. Heat 6 in the 400, and the favourite here will be Samson Kitur, the Olympic bronze medalist, 3 from the left from Kenya, who's gone out conservatively. It's a very good field. Clark of Jamaica in lane 8, in 7 Douglas of Bermuda, and then Kitur. Akoto De Silva of Trinidad is run conservatively early. Leader's taken him now. De Silva puts on a spirit on the back straight, and Cornet's in lane 2. Well, Couture's the real class here, but look at De Silva, who has exploded after a slow start, now leading. He was disqualified in the Olympic Games in the 200. He's just stepped up the 400 this year, and he's run a magnificent 150 metres that we've just seen. Now Couture starts to wind up. He's a class act as well. Should take De Silva if he wants to. De Silva and Couture, and also Clark, maybe Couture from De Silva and Clark, and 45.71. So that concludes the heats of the men's 400 metres. Without doubt, the most impressive was Michael Johnson, who strolled around in the first heat and ran 45.6. John Walker, no real surprises from the men's 400 metres. The Americans looked tremendous, and so did the Kenyans, but there was one American in particular.
Well, Johnson may have been a failure in Barcelona, but he certainly looks like he's going to make the making here, and he looks the logical winner over the 400 metres. If he goes fast in the final, I'm sure he can go very close to that world record.
Well, it's 43.29. It stood for a while. Who knows? He looks to be in that sort of form. On the blocks now for the first heat of the quarterfinals of the men's 400. Quincy Watts, the Olympic champion, goes from lane 6. That's Kemboi of Kenya in lane 4. Boumendil of Algeria 1, Leader Germany 2, Rapinel France 3, Kemboi 4 of Kenya, De Silva Trinidad 5, Watts 6 in screen at the moment, Agola of Uganda in 7, Cornet of Spain in 8. First 4 to qualify for the semi-finals. Away. Watts stood a long time. Agola got away best in lane 7, one of the outsiders. Watts is in 6th, third from the left. So from the outside, Cornet, Agola. Now Watts is gathering quickly. De Silva back in lane 5. Running up to him is Kemboi, Rapinel. Leader back in lane 2 and Boumendil. Well, Watts has run the first 200 very well. He's in the vanguard position. Goes past at 200. Agola outside of him. Kemboi starting to wind up. So's De Silva running pretty strongly. Watts will lead just into the straight from Agola. De Silva, Kemboi, leader coming through the German. Watts in front, Agola getting tired. De Silva, Kemboi and leader. Watts doing it comfortably. 30 metres to go. He's got it in hand, switches off 45.07. Kemboi got through to silver and very tight for fourth. 45.07 for the Olympic champion. Second heat of the quarterfinals, men's 400. Away, Mayfield of Great Britain in lane 1. Haughton, Jamaica 2. Golofstov, Russia 3. Kitur, the favourite of Kenya in 4. Amagacha, Ghana in 5. Bada, Nigeria 6. Yepke of Benin in 7. Amori, Japan in lane 8. Kitur's gone out slowly in the middle. Amagacha's gone out quite hard. Bada's run the first 200 very hard in the green, third from the left. Murphy's gone out well in lane 1. He ran at the Olympics as a 17-year-old. In 1984. Now Kitur on the bend starts to gather Amagacha in. He's in the centre. Running strongly is Haughton. Leading them is Bada. Kitur coming up to his shoulder almost. Maffey's there as well. First 4 to qualify. Kitur looks very good as he moves up past Bada. Haughton looks like qualifying and so does Amagacha. But Kitur most impressive. 45.02. Looked every bit as good as Watts. Bada second. Amagacha and Haughton also qualify. Well, Kitur was the surprise at the Olympics last year with the bronze medal, and he's in very good shape again. Face of Michael Johnson, favourite for the gold medal, has a long unbeaten run at the 400. Speculation is that he might take the world record. Not tonight, but when they get to the final. He goes from lane 3 here. Douglas of Bermuda in 1. Semi-finalist at the Olympics. There's Deleuze in Trinidad from lane 8. He made the quarterfinals. There's Ismail in lane 6. 7th in the final last year from Qatar. So Douglas, Nucci, Johnson, Clark of Jamaica in 4. Tellez 5, Cuba. Away. Johnson should run very quickly early and establish a break here. So Deleuze out in lane 8, even off of Bulgaria 7. Ismail in lane 6 has gone out very hard. Johnson ran the first 100 very quickly as well in lane 3. Tellez in 5. In lane 4 is Clark, Newty in 2, and 1 Douglas. Oh, Johnson in control at halfway. Ishmael's also gone out very hard, but look at Michael Johnson as he comes through in lane 3. He's run a magnificent first 250. Ishmael with him and Deleuze out in lane 8. Johnson a clear leader. Let's see if he goes for a fast time or switches off. In second placing Ishmael. He's starting to switch off. Look at him slow down. Second Ishmael. A battle now. Clark coming through will get third. Johnson walking over the line. Ishmael second. Clark third. Fourth would have been Tellez. 44.72. Oh, he's brilliant. Class of his own at the moment. How easy was that? A world-class time. And it was like a Sunday stroll. Ishmael a good run again. Well, we are on a Sunday here in Stuttgart. It wasn't quite a stroll the first 250. John, how are they going to beat him in the final? I know it's early doors yet.
Bruce, they can't beat him in the final. We're looking at something very, very special here. Look at this, all class. He ran the first 300 metres. He did enough to get past them. He's right down, halfway down the straight. When you think the world-class runners behind him struggling to catch up, and he makes them look like second rate. Something very, very special. And what are we going to see in the final from this man?
Maybe a world record. He looks capable of it. The record that we thought that Reynolds had held for a long, long time. 43.29 in Zurich in 88. Fourth and final heat of the quarterfinal round in the 400 metres. There's Butch Reynolds, the third American world record holder. Got a medal in this event in 1987 when he was third in Rome and was second in the Olympics in 88. Coming back from a drug suspension. 2 scratchings here, including Hernandez, Ian Morris and Ochieng both in the lineup in 3-5 respectively. Reynolds in 6. Away, got a good start, Reynolds. So from the outside, Ladija of Great Britain, Jordan of Burundi in lane 7, then Reynolds of the United States, Ochieng of Kenya. Reynolds went out hard early. Morris hangs back as he always does. Lalu inside of him of Morocco. I reckon Reynolds will try and run fast here because Johnson was so impressive in 44.72 and he'll try and get some sort of psychological advantage. Ochieng's run very well in lane 4. Now Morris starting to wind up. First 4 to qualify. Reynolds has run the first 250 strongly. Both Ochieng and Morris are starting to come off him. Reynolds clearly in front in the straight from Ochieng. Then Morris, behind them Ladejo. Reynolds clear. Ochieng's run a big race. Morris switching off. Reynolds striding out to the line. It's fast. 44.71. It's the fastest. Great run Ochieng. Third, Morris took it easily, and then Ladejo. So Reynolds has the fastest time, but I can tell you now, Johnson has taken all the points. Yes, all the Americans are in very good shape, but Johnson could give the world record, which is...
He's an awesome talent, there's no doubt about that. Michael Johnson, as we look at the second semi-final, with already the 2 Americans and 2 Kenyans through. Johnson going from 4. There's leader of Germany in 1. Amagacha Ghana 2. Bada Nigeria 3 should qualify. Johnson in 4. Ismail Qatar will probably qualify in 5. Kitur of Kenya certainly the number 2 ranked here in 6. Haughton Jamaica 7. And Newell de Silva Trinidad in 8. What will Johnson do here? Save himself for the final or try and run quick? Away. He's got such high speed that he seems to be able to control all his 400-metre races. De Silva on the outside with Haughton. Kitur not that fast away. Ishmael's gone out hard. Johnson's gone out very hard. He's got both Ishmael and Kitur covered at this stage. He might sit on them. That's his tactic sometimes. Then Bada, Amagacha and leader. Well, Johnson's already taken Ishmael and he's got a good look at Kitur at 150. He's going to be a long way in front when they straighten. Kitur in lane 6, Johnson in 4, Ishmael behind them, Bada coming through, running very strongly, Haughton in the stretch. Well, Johnson's cruising, he's let Kitur go up alongside him. Bada, Haughton may qualify, Ishmael in trouble. Johnson very upright, looks around, eases off, Kitur beats him. Johnson second, third will be Bada, fourth Haughton, 44.34, very fast. Well, he hasn't been beaten for about 4 years. He was beaten there, but it won't count in the record books because it's only a preliminary and it shouldn't count either. There's Kitur, John Walker. They're not going to beat Johnson in the final on what we've seen, but Kitur could split the other Americans.
Kitur ran a very good race and he took it to Johnson. Johnson came off the last bend here very, very easily. Look, he started to ease up already. I'm sure he's going to have a little look around any second now. He can feel Kitur right out beside him now. He's not doing any more than he has to. He realised this is not the final. This is not where the medals are counted. Kitur still straining. There's a quick look around. He knows he's got it, and Johnson eases up.
So Kitur qualifying in fast time from Johnson, Bada and Haughton, a surprise packet in front of Ishmael. Well, he's got one of these sit-down style. It's been compared with the great Jesse Owens, who won 4 gold medals in 1936. Very upright. It was the biggest disappointment in Barcelona. Great at the World Championships in 1991. Such a range. And, well, there's the face of what we think will be the world champion final, world champion in the 400. What a double that'll be, 2-4. Michael Johnson having a peep around. So let's leave the semi-finals of the 400 metres and go to the final of the javelin for men with Maury Plant. Simon Kemboi of Kenya from lane 1 was third in the Kenyan trials. Set his personal best time of 44.94 in the semi-finals. He was a semi-finalist in the Olympics. There's lane 2. Greg Haughton of Jamaica also ran his best time ever in the semi-finals to make it here. 44.78. So 2 of the outsiders in 1 and 2. Here's the favourite, Michael Johnson, unbeaten at 400 since 1989 in the indoor season. It's a long, unbeaten run. Ran the fastest time ever in America to win the championships. He's the world champion at 200. In lane 4, Samson Kitur, third in the Olympic Games last year, was the fastest of the semi-finalists. Edged Johnson out. Johnson easing off a bit. The only non-American to beat Watts last year. In lane, well, they've gone up a lane here. That's Sunday Bada of Nigeria. They've missed Quincy Watts out. He was at his fastest in the semi-final. Here's Butch Reynolds in lane 7, world record holder, suspended for drugs between 1990 and 1992. Second at the Olympics in 88, third in the World Championships in 87. Fastest man ever at 43.29. Will he lose that tonight? Will Johnson or Watts take it from him? Maybe Butch could pull something out here. So there he is, Butch Reynolds. was awarded damages against the International Athletic Federation of about $26 million. He hasn't collected that just yet. It's a lot of dough. He must feel proud to be here. Kennedy Ochieng in lane 8. Second in the Kenyan trials. Has won the Kenyan championships and also the British championships this year. He's an outsider. And there's Quincy Watts, Olympic champion. He won by a record margin. Well, since 1924 anyway. We've got to go back a bit. 43.50 he ran, and he ran the fastest ever split in the 400 metres relay when they broke the world record of 43.1. I just don't know if he's in quite that shape.
This is the big one. Michael Johnson versus Quincy Watts. Quincy Watts, the Olympic champion.
I think Reynolds is a bit nervous. He forgot to take his T-shirt off.
He's going to be finding this is going to be the race of his life. I don't believe he can finish in a medal.
Well, Johnson had this tremendous disappointment in Barcelona last year. Went there as one of the biggest stars in track and field and was run out in the semi-finals of the 200. He's moved up to 4. This man took it all in Barcelona. Individual title, Olympic record, and also world record in the 4x4. There's a strong feeling in the American camp that Watts is the man for the big occasion.
Well, the feeling is that Johnson won't take the 4 rounds. We've yet to see. If he does, he will be supreme.
So they're almost set. There is the man in question. Will he go for a world record? Will he race? The others have to run. He often races. There's Reynolds. 3 Americans, 3 Kenyans. They're set. Tactics important here. Away. Johnson's got the perfect draw. So from the inside, Kemboi, Haughton, Johnson's gone out pretty hard. Kitur going out hard is Watts. Bada's gone out very hard in 6. So's Reynolds. They've gone past Ochieng. Johnson's sitting on them in the back straight. Reynolds joined by Bada, who's been the fastest in the first 150. Watts has held back a little. So is Johnson. Watch the bend. Kitur still there. Reynolds tackled by Bada. Reynolds now responds. Johnson's now exploded on the bend. Johnson's put himself in a winning position. Reynolds with him. Watts way out of it. Johnson in front. Reynolds can't get to him. Johnson is streaking away. Kitur coming home. Watts for the clock. Is the world record in danger? He just misses it. Reynolds second, third. Kitur. Watts completely out of it. It's his fastest time ever. 43.66. Only Reynolds and Watts have run faster. It was one of the great runs. And what he did between 200 and 100 was extraordinary. There are the Kenyans. Kitur got a minor medal. Reynolds ran a great race. Watts was the disappointment.
Watts was a huge disappointment, but here is the new champion. If there ever could be such a thing as tactics in a 400-metre race, which seems most unlikely, he did it. He took it easy for the first 200, then set the field alight on the bend and powered the straight. He's missed the world record, but he's now the new champion. Watts, a huge disappointment, a great run from Butch Reynolds. He gave it his all, but wasn't quite good enough on the night.
And in the long history of the sport, no man has won a 200 and 400 title at this level. No one's been able to do that double. Wantarina did the 4 and the 8 in Montreal in 76. Tommy Smith was probably the last of the really great 2-4 men. There's Butch Reynolds. Take my hat off to him tonight. He showed a lot of character. But Michael Johnson was supreme. To do the 2 and the 4, world champion at 200 and world champion at 400. And because the 200 final hasn't been run, he actually owns both the championships at this stage. As you said, John, he ran a tactical race. No one else has ever been able to do that. He's got such high speed at 19.79. He was able to sit on them. And you've got to feel great for him because of the disappointment in Barcelona. He's shown the character and come back as a very, very great champion.
Well, he's very excited. This was one of the big ones. The 100 metres was probably just as good.
Well, I've just been told that Quincy Watts lost his shoe. It fell apart in the run, so we've got to forgive him. Didn't see that, obviously, so we've got to make a little excuse for him, but you can't take anything away from Johnson.
That is great. That is very bad luck if that was the story. I'll be asking the shoe companies the question.
Well, there is Watts. Let's have a look. Have a look at the shoe.
Oh, look at this shoe.
Well, poor Quincy Watts, the Olympic champion. He'll have a tale to tell. Shoe coming apart. Hopefully we'll get a close-up replay. Now here we go to the 200. Watts was in lane 5. Johnson now accelerates. Let's see if Watts is having problems. He doesn't look at all comfortable, does he, in lane 5? But this is where Johnson steam the bend. And let's see if we can see Watts. Yes, look at the left shoe. You can see it flapping. It lost it there. Well, Quincy had no hope at all. Look at that left shoe of his. You can see the disadvantage he's under. I don't think we can take anything away from Johnson. He was supreme, but the Olympic champion has got a rare excuse. He's still able to come through for a fourth, I think. Johnson 43.66. Reynolds second. And third, Kitur. So what a story here in the 400. One man celebrates. Now have a look at Watts' shoe. You've got a great shot of it here. Left shoe for Watts. Look at it flapping as Johnson's away now. I honestly think it would have made no difference at all to the result. But it's a great disadvantage. Now we're about to get the times. 44.13 for Reynolds. So officially it was Johnson 43.65, even quicker. Reynolds 44.13, Kitur 44.54, and then they blew out to Watts, who surely broke the world record for a man with 1.5 shoes at 45.05. Johnson wins the 400 in Stuttgart. And there's the final result. Michael Johnson 43.65, championship record. Reynolds 44.13 as they both hug. Kitur 44.54. Watts on 1.5 shoes 45.05.